your host, Tom Hammel. Today we are talking about cultivating from failures, growing from our failures, right? And there's lots of ideas, lots of perspectives that we want to talk about on how we grow through our failures. So let's get into it. Couple of things right off the bat that I want to just say because we get stuck in this spot so much where we think our failures define us and we get stuck in the midst of our failures. But I think living the cultivated life, I believe this with every fiber in my being, living the cultivated life means that we grow through our failures, not get stuck in our failures. So I wrote this down. I wrote a couple things down, is that you're not a failure until you quit. You may fail at something, but you're not a failure. It doesn't define you. It might shape you. It might hone you. It hopefully grows you. You grow in the failure. That's what this whole show is about. But it doesn't define you. It is not who you are until you quit, till you throw in the towel. And we want to cultivate a don't quit attitude in ourselves and in those around us, right? And so you are not a failure unless you quit. Thomas Edison's famous quote said this, I didn't fail, I just found 10,000 ways to not make a light bulb, right? And so the idea is that you don't let your failure shut you down. Just because you missed the mark, just because you missed the goal, you missed the deadline, just because you feel like a failure, don't believe that lie. Don't let your head get stuck in that space. Don't let it shut you down from living the cultivated life, from growing in the cultivated life. And in fact, I believe failures can be your best teacher. I got three powerful ideas here about that. I got three concepts that I want to share with you on how we can grow in our failures. But I just wanted to start off the top of the show. The foundation of where we're going is that you don't let your failures define you. You can grow through them. You don't have to let them shut you down. You've just figured out 10,000 ways to not build the light bulb. So how do we grow through our failures? First of all, failure, this is how you know it, failure always gives birth to innovation. Think about this. Every innovative idea was birthed out of a failure. Now, not every failure is a complete collapse. It just means it didn't meet the need anymore. And so when you think about this, cars were invented because trains failed to meet the needs of human needs, right? Trains couldn't get to every spot, and so they used cars. Or horses couldn't do it fast enough, and so right. Think about all of the evolution of technology and the innovation of new ideas and new creativity. Always came because something failed. Now it either fell apart and just kind of imploded, or it just didn't meet the needs of a growing community, growing society, that sort of thing. Just look at the cell phone. You're probably watching this on your cell phone or at least a laptop. Could you imagine just a few years ago what a computer monitor looked like compared to today? It used to be this giant, huge box that took up a whole desk, but that failed to meet the needs of a growing community, of a growing world. And so, boom, out of the failure of that to continue to meet needs, now we've got these thin little devices, these thin little screens, right? All that stuff. Here's the deal. Failure always gives birth to innovation and creativity. You are at your most creative when the idea that you've been working on, when the goals you've been working towards aren't actually meeting the goals that you set up and they're failing just a little bit. Again, you're not defined by those, you're not stuck by those, but to grow through them, you go, okay, that failed, but how much more innovative and creative can I be? And now you're living that cultivated life, growing in those failures because you're pushing forward. You're not stuck, you're not paralyzed by it, you're not defined by it, but you're moving forward through it. Things get better because of failure. Think about this. You're a better person because of failures that you've made. You're a smarter person because of failures that you've made. You know more about the relationships you want in life because of failed relationships. You know more about the job that you want because of failed jobs. You know more about the path of education that you want because of failed decisions that you made. Going, oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, I don't like that. Every growth that you've taken has involved some kind of failure because failure always gives birth to innovation and creativity, right? It always makes us more efficient. That's number one. The second thing I wrote down in here is that failure produces gratitude in our growth. failure becomes a measuring becomes a measuring tool, or helps us understand the progress that we're making towards our success. If we didn't have failure markers, we couldn't see how much further we've come, how much better we are, how much more efficient we are, right? That sort of thing. So failures, if you can look at them this way, become mile markers, become landmarks, become measuring sticks to go, whoa, remember that season where I failed? Remember that task where I failed? Look at how much better I am at that. Think about anything you've worked really hard at, you've practiced, whether that's an instrument or a skill or a task. That could be anything from a sport to, again, like I said, an instrument. Maybe it's a video game, maybe whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is. Every time you failed, you got a little bit closer to beating that boss on the video game. Every time you failed, you got a little bit better at hitting that baseball or throwing that football or running that mile or whatever the case is. If you're working out, if maybe you're watching and you're a gymaholic, that sort of thing, you work out literally until your muscles fail. And the goal is how far can you push your muscles till you fail? And then that becomes a measuring mark, a measuring tool, a mile marker to go, okay, next time I'm going to go past that failure point. Next time I'm going to go a little bit further. And so they become a measuring tool to go, look at this, I'm growing, I'm getting better, I'm moving forward. And as long as you can keep that perspective about your failure, you're going to keep growing through those things. And that's living the cultivated life of growing through your failures, because you go, okay, it doesn't mean I'm a failure. It means now I've got a new measuring stick. Now I've got a new landmark to go. As long as I get further than that the next time, as long as I go faster than that the next time, as long as I'm a little better than that the next time, I know I'm moving forward into this life that I'm trying to become, that person I'm wanting to become, that I'm not failing. I'm moving forward. And the failures that I hit, the walls that I hit, those obstacles that I hit are proof that I'm moving forward. I keep going, and they're measuring my success. If I only do what I'm good at, I'll never do anything new, right? I wrote this down, right? If I only do what I'm good at, I'll never do anything. If I only did the things that I was already good at, I would never try something new. I would never grow into something new. So it's always those failures become measuring sticks. Albert Einstein said this: a person who never made a mistake never tried anything new. Living the cultivated life is all about making mistakes, learning, growing, pushing past those mistakes is the key perspective. It's the key motivation. It's the key mind space that we need to be in growing through our failures. Make those mistakes. Take those risks. Get out there. Try something new. Grow in something new. Swing for the fences, right? Swing for the. I love this saying that I've heard: shoot for the moon, because if you miss, you'll land among the stars, right? That's the idea, is that even if you miss the target today, every day you're going to get a little bit closer to that target. You're going to get a little bit closer till you become so efficient, so good, you land exactly where you're aiming for. And then you got to take a new risk. You got to take a new challenge. You got to take a new goal. But if you're paralyzed by the fear of failure, if you're paralyzed by failures of your past, of what you think define you, of what think are holding you back, then you're not growing, you're not living this cultivated life. So let those failures produce gratitude in your growth, and let them be measuring sticks and tools and mile markers to say, look, I'm so much better. I'm so much further. I have such a better understanding of who I'm becoming and what I want and what I desire. And so that failure produces the gratitude in your growth and the success and the measuring tool in that. Third thing that I just wanted to drop on us today in living this cultivated life of growing through our failures is that we've always got to be failing forward. Each time you miss what you're hoping for, each time you fall short of what you're hoping for, but you're closer to your goal, you're winning. We did a whole episode on this, on cultivating success and redefining what success looks like, because we've got this really crazy idea of what success means, always getting it right. And I don't think that's what success is. Success is growing. And as long as you're failing forward, then you're saying, hey, I failed forward. I missed the mark. I missed the goal. I missed the deadline. I missed what I was shooting for. But man, I'm so much further. Then we're not afraid of failure. We're embracing failure. We're leaning towards that failure because it's not about, falling flat on our face, but it's like, woo, I took a chance. I took a risk. I moved forward and I didn't hit exactly what I was looking for or aiming for or shooting for, but I made progress. And I'm celebrating the progress. And I'm going to keep making progress because every time I'm getting a little better, getting a little stronger. I'm going a little further. I'm a little faster. I'm a little more efficient. I'm a little bit more the identity that I'm cultivating in my life, the person that I'm trying to become, the character, the nature, the future self, the future person that is like calling me into that destiny. I'm getting closer to that. I'm proud of myself for trying. And you can be proud of yourself. I want you to be proud of yourself. The world needs you to be proud of yourself, not in an arrogant way, but in a gratitude way of saying, whew, I've learned so much from my failures. I've learned so much from my mistakes. The worst part is to not learn from them. The worst part is to deny that they're there. Because the moment we deny our failures, we become irrelevant to the world. We become irrelevant to anybody around us. No one can learn anything from us if we can't admit that we failed at something. If we're playing it safe, how boring, how mundane. But the cultivated life is all about leaning towards our failures, failing forward, growing forward, moving forward, and understanding that, hey, that one time that I said this, I failed at relationships. I failed at hurting people's feelings, but I learned from them. I failed at saying the awkward things or inappropriate things or whatever the case is, right? But man, I learned from that and I'm moving forward, and we're not above an apology. We're not above admitting that we failed, but we're going to always fail forward into successfully becoming the person that we were meant to be, that we're destined to be, and that we're calling ourselves into and moving towards that. The cultivated life is all about growing from our failures. That's our episode today. Thanks for watching us here on YouTube, the Cultivation Podcast. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. Love to read your comments, see your comments. Love to hear your stories of how you've grown through failure or how you're living the cultivated life. Love to hear your ideas of topics that you want to see us unpack or hear us unpack. So we read those, we respond to those. Make sure you share them. And again, thanks for watching the Cultivated Podcast. Thanks for checking us out today on the Cultivation Podcast. Be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of the incredible content that's coming your way. Also, in the comment thread below, be sure to put your comments, your feedback, your story. We want to hear that. We want to hear from you. We read those. We respond to those. We journey together in this cultivated life.